Y'all, I just don't know what is going on in this game anymore. How are we halfway through this season, yet there are still 11 players left? I don't understand. As Mimi would say, the math just isn't math in here.
What sense does that make? The math is not mathing.
There is so much to talk about today, including the drama that happened both before and after the double eviction. But first, if you have not already, make sure you hit the subscribe button below just so you can stay tuned, as I will be doing these wonderful recaps all season long. Now, let's get into this mess. As we just saw, Cameron and Jared were both evicted from the house in pretty much unanimous votes. This outcome was not surprising to me at all, but this next twist definitely was. You see, these two aren't out the game quite yet. They're both still in the house living as zombies, and one of them will get the chance to return back next week. Battle backs have historically been very annoying in this game. They rarely make an actual impact in the game, since the evictee is usually sent right back out the door immediately. Everything just ends up getting delayed, but I am trying to at least keep my hopes up for this time. Since Jared and Cameron did not get sequestered, being in the house this entire time may give them the chance to turn their games around. However, we did already have that invincibility twist thing that brought Jag back, which is pretty much the same concept, so this whole thing just seems redundant. My only worry is how this week is really going to turn out with no competitions, no HOH, no power, no nothing. I guess we'll just have to see. So before we get into what's next for the week, let's back it up a little bit to the days right before the double eviction, because there were a lot of moving parts going on that's gonna have an effect on this week's gameplay. We all know that most of the house wanted to target Jared and Cirie. We saw evidence of this during the HOH comp, where almost everyone was looking to knock Cirie out. But there were still a few people with different plans in mind. See, at first, Mimi and Felicia really wanted those two gone.
But me, you, Cory, America, and Bowie Jane, that's 5. There's 5 on the other side. If I can get Matt and Jag, Jared and Cirie going home. And I'll tell you, and then you dig from the inside from that.
The reason why these two are feeling so bitter is because they were initially in an alliance with them called the Brown Sugar Babes that was formed around week 2. Even though these 4 had been aligned, Mimi wasn't really trusted during the beginning of the game. So the alliance rarely met up, and it really wasn't taken too seriously, but it was serious to Mimi and Felicia, and that's what really matters. So for a second there, it looked like Mimi and Felicia had dropped them completely to join the other side.
Mimi. I want Mimi to come in.
Me too.
Please.
Me too. Well, I know because you didn't mention her initial or anything, yes. But that's something I wanted to just check into.
I want Mimi to come in because I
absolutely.
trust Mimi.
And for a minute, everybody was against Cirie and Jared, full stop. But that's not gonna last too long. After sleeping on the whole decision, Mimi realizes that targeting Cirie and Jared may not be her best move. She can't fully trust them, but at the same time, they're not directly targeting her or Felicia either. So the consensus is that for now, it's best to stick with the Brown Sugar Babes.
So then I say to myself, for as much as I'm pissed off at Jared and Cirie, do I trust them more than I trust the Jags and the Blues?
I honestly agree with this move, because that other side of the house would pawn those two off in the snap of a finger. In other news, Cory was also ecstatic at the thought of Cirie and Jared being on the block together during the beginning of the week. But at the same time, he was also very suspicious of Blue, which we got to see evidence of in the live show. Cory knows that Blue is obviously way closer to Jared than she is to him, and he knows that there's a good chance that Blue would remove Jared from the block if she got the chance.
Here was my thought, right? I'm concerned about putting up Jared and Cirie and then Blue winning the veto. Because Jared would have his choice. So I think if we go to her and say, Blue, if we put up you and Jared, and then there's obviously no expectation for you to use the veto on him. She's going to say, I don't want to be on the block.
Everyone agrees with the sentiment, including Jag, so it's agreed that Blue should actually be used as a pawn against Jared.
Low-key, it could be best if she can't vote him out and she can't use the veto, or she can't vote him out and she has to use the veto on him.
Yeah.
She can just sit on the block then. And not like she's not gonna go home, right?
And that is pretty much why we saw Cory's nominations play out the way they did. So heading into the double, Jared was already looking like the most likely target, and everything played out pretty expectedly. The feeds didn't come back on until a few hours after the eviction, so we initially missed a lot. We missed the fallout from the double, and we missed Jared and Cameron coming back into the house, unfortunately. But we do see that Jared is very upset with Matt for not saving him with the veto. Jared had actually picked Matt to play for him in the veto, thinking that those two were in good standing.
I never put you up on the block or Jag. So you have.
But you were planning on it this week if you were HOH.
No, but look, I was HOH, and I did it once again. Even though I was sus about you, I trusted our relationship and was like, nah, I don't believe that.
Picking Matt to play was obviously a terrible read from Jared, and he should have known better, especially after Matt tried to knock Cirie out of the HOH comp. But Matt is not argumentative at all here. He's actually pretty apologetic. Matt don't want no smoke from nobody right now.
I hate this because I'm not, and I get it. Maybe it was a snake move. And I'm not a snake, and I hate doing this shit.
No, I know. We all feel like that. So
we obviously need to fix something because, like, I don't want that to be wasted, obviously.
Yeah.
If it is, I understand on your end.
I think Matt does still have a soft spot for Cirie, but he's slowly being pushed away. In fact, Cory and America overhear some of this conversation, and they immediately try debunking everything Jared and Cirie was saying in order to get Matt back on their side.
Yeah. Well, look, Cirie is also in a Final 3 that she's not talking about. She's in a Final 4 that she's not talking about. She's... All they were talking about in the scale.
Did you hear me?
Oh.
I was saying you're in these threes, these 1, 2, 3s, these 4s.
And she's like,
and I'm like, what do you expect? She's like, well, this is the game. I'm like, well, you didn't tell me about it. I'm like,
you're like, yes, this is the game. I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Moving forward, I could see Matt start to distance himself from Cirie even more, which would honestly be detrimental to her game. Right now, Matt is her best connection to that other side of the house. In other news, Blue and Jared are also going to get into a lover's quarrel about the game. Jared is upset that Blue knew that he was the house target, but she never gave him the heads up.
Help me understand why you wouldn't tell me that Jag was after me, because once again, if I knew Jag was after me, I couldn't do nothing. He won the veto, right? I couldn't put Jag up. But I would have known right then and there that I cannot leave Matt in the house. One of them has to go.
But why Matt? That's my
Because
thing.
that's his next closest ally. Why would I put up Cameron?
Blue had been trying to play the middle, which was probably her best option at the time, but now that Jared's back, she's gonna have to answer for her gameplay.
I knew for a fact you would stay.
And you never told me about this either.
Because I didn't think that, for sure, that was not gonna ever happen.
Well, it is so much information that I'm finding out, and everything, the common denominator here is you telling me you didn't think. Blue, you are a thinker.
This whole debacle lasts for hours, and it's gonna lead these two to break up. Kinda, sorta, but not really. They've had this same toxic type of argument before, but they usually just get over it. So by the end of the night, they are on much better terms, but we're just gonna have to see what these two eventually do.
1, for me, you were always going to be a bigger target. That's that. 2, you could take shots at people that I can't. I could take shots at people you can't. And 3, he's not too bad to look at.
Blue is also, understandably, very upset with Cory for putting her on the block in the first place.
I'm like, girl, tell me about it. Like, the fact that, we're trying to do this, like, whole alliance thing, and you're telling me that I'm not on the block, that I'm not going to be on the block, and then you slightly blindside me is crazy. Like, I get why he had to do what he had to do. I get it. I recognize the game, and I respect it. But it's like, damn.
You see, I knew this would happen. Blue is not the most astute game player, but I'm really happy that she realizes that Cory does not have her best interest. No one puts the person they love and trust the most on the block as a pawn. It's the biggest red flag. Now that Blue knows what Cory really thinks of her, let's see what she does if she gets any power. The last thing to know is that Jared and Cameron have kind of patched things up, and they're planning on working together just a little bit.
If we never were anything, we're working together now because one of us goes back in this house, and I want one of us to succeed when we come back.
I agree.
So we're not against each other.
Not at all.
So I'm out to help Me and you.
Even though they're both at risk together, only one of them can really stay, so there's no sense in continuing to target each other. They exchange a little bit of game info with each other, but we're just gonna have to see how their relationship continues to develop throughout the week. Overall, it's looking like most people would rather have Cameron stay in the game than Jared. But the house will not be deciding who stays at the end of the week. A competition will. Jared is seeking revenge while Cameron seeks redemption. Hey, maybe this week won't be so boring after all. So of course I want to know, what do you all think of this twist? Are you loving the drama that it's bringing to the house? Or would you rather have Cameron and Jared gone for good? Let me know in the comments below. I think Cameron and Jared are probably two of the most disliked people in the fandom, so I'm willing to bet a lot of people are not going to be that excited to still have them in the game. I personally wish it could be Izzy and Hisam instead. I just miss those two so freaking much. Of course, I will be back to update you all if anything else big changes in the game, but until next time, peace.